Hello everybody, in this video I'm going to teach you how you can easily create huge open worlds by using auto material, water and swim system, how to keep everything organized, use version control and more. In this video we are going to use different techniques in order for us to create huge open worlds in just under 30 minutes. In this video we're going to utilize the interaction of the water system. You can swim in this water. You can have the caustics, you can have the different colors depending on depth. So without further ado, let's get started and create this huge open world. If you enjoyed any of the videos on this channel and if you're a fan, could you do me a quick favor and hit that subscribe button? Surprisingly, 85% of the people who watched my videos are unsubscribed. Your quick action of hitting that subscribe button will support this channel, and as it grows, we will be able to share even more free content with you. The first step of creating huge worlds in Unreal Engine is to have a program to do that. And the best program I find so far is Gaea, which is from QuadSpinner. And right now they released Gaea 2.0, which is available to everyone. So this will be the software that I'm going to use to create this landscape. So let's get started. So when you first fire Gaea, here you have a graph where you can start creating your world, and here you have different panels for different settings. So we're gonna start by creating a mountain range. If you go under terrain and landscape, here you can have different landscape variations or different primitives. Another way to quick work is right click over here and in the search menu just type mountain range. I'm gonna click on the mountain range, and as you can see over here, we've created a mountain range. But I want to tweak it. If you select the block over here on the right panel here in the inspector, you have different settings. So right now I'm going to tweak a little bit the scale. I'm going to do 0.56, and I want this mountain range to have height. So I'm going to add a lot of height. So let's say 1.61. And I'm going to do an alpine style. And from the seed you can start playing out and have different form and different shapes based on the seed over here. Just play with the seed until you're satisfied with the result that you want. So I pretty much like this one. The next thing that we can do is I want to create a canyon. So I'm gonna right click and search for canyon. I'm gonna spawn the canyon, and here you can see that you're creating a big drop over here like a canyon. If I zoom in, you can see that the textures are a lot blurry, and you can fix that by going here and changing the preview resolution. If I put 2K, so you can go up to 4K, but it will take a lot of time when you start modifying, depending on your machine, of course. So here in this canyon, I want again to start tweaking up a little bit the parameters over here. So I'm gonna do a scale of 0.26, and I'm gonna start tweaking the slot. So from the slot, you can see that we are changing a little bit of the shapes at the ends. So I'm gonna put something like 32. The next is the valley. How you want to represent the valley. Do you want to have a valley, or you just want to have a steep over here drop? So what I want to have is around 20, 0.20, 17. I want to have this little valley over here, but I want also to have this deep crevasse over here so I can fill it with water later on. The next thing that you can tweak is the surroundings. So by tweaking the surroundings, you can just make this crack over here, and this could be maybe a sand dune or something like this. But in my case, I want to have around 40 something. So I want to have a little bit details over here so I can make maybe a water flowing down there like a little rivers. You can also tweak the depth over here. And of course you can play around with the seed to have different kind of shapes. This is my final canyon. And right now what we need to do is we need to combine the mountain range and the canyon. And we have a node for that. So right click, search for combine, and start combining those two. I'm gonna combine, and I'm gonna combine this one. Keep in mind that Gaea is free to a certain export texture, so you can go and start using it. And right now what we have here is mixture of those two, and here from the ratio you can say which one will be taking control. So if I want here the mountain range to be fully taking control and not blending with the canyon, I can put 0, but right now I want my canyon to have a little bit more control over it, so I can make a river over here, you know, and fill it with water. Okay, so this is good so far, but I want to break the details a little bit more. That's why I'm gonna create a ridge. To create a ridge, right click and search for ridge. And let's start tweaking the ridge also. And we're gonna combine and add details to our mountain range and canyon combine node. After some tweaking on my ridge, I ended up with this one. And what we're going to do is we're going to combine once again. I'm gonna combine the ridge and I'm gonna connect my mountain range and canyon over here. So right now what we have is we break up the mountain range a lot, and I don't want to do this, so I'm gonna give more power to the mountain range, 0.70. I'm gonna go back to my mountain range and I'm gonna put a little bit more height over here, and let's see how it will look. We've added those mountains, and if you want to add more height, just simply go back and add more height over here. Let's see in the combine node. The next node that I'm going to use is I'm going to add erosion over here so I can break up the elements and make them look good. So I'm going to search for erosion 2, which is the new erosion in Gaea, and I'm going to connect the output to the input. Now from this erosion node you can start tweaking up everything and fine-tune your erosion. I'm just going to down scale the erosion over here around 0.60, so I can still keep my river bed over here, maybe a little bit less, something like this. And I'm gonna do the down cutting, maybe 30. Just play around with the settings and see what will work for you guys. And this is how my erosion looks like, and I'm pretty satisfied with the result so far. Now the next two nodes that I'm going to add are just for my pure reference in Unreal Engine, how I'm going to place the lakes and the rivers. So here from the simulate you have different simulations. You can simulate vegetation, you can simulate water, you can scatter stuff, you can use erosion, but right now I want to simulate lakes and I want to simulate rivers. And this will be for reference. Right now I'm just adding this for my reference because my lakes and rivers in Unreal Engine will use my water and swim plugin, which I need to place by hand onto my terrain. So I'm gonna connect my erosion to my lakes, and if I click over here you're gonna see lakes start appearing onto your landscape. And I'm just gonna tune down the precipitation so I can have fewer area with these lakes. Let me just tune it down a little bit more, 1.57. And here you see that it is filling up with water, but those are areas that I'm gonna add different kind of lakes so it can have this natural look. Next is I'm gonna connect the rivers, and from here I can see where the rivers could be placed. All right, so lake and rivers, and I can make the connection from this lake to this one, and this is following the natural flow of this landscape, and this is a reference for me to make the environment looks natural. And the final note that you need to do is you need to go to output, and here in the output assets you can export it to Unity or to Unreal. In Unreal Engine, Gaea has a plugin which makes a real-time connection between Gaea and Unreal Engine, and I'm going to show you how you can use it. So we're gonna choose Unreal, and here in Unreal I'm gonna do the output into the input. I'm gonna use R16 and I'm gonna put the target size to 4K, and I'm gonna leave everything to default. The next step is we need to build this terrain. So go to project, build settings, and here in the build settings go under build. You need to define the destination folder of the build. So click on the three dots and I set up my folder, and then what you need to do is you need to execute the build. Once you execute the build, you're gonna have this mountain range JPEG and the rivers output R16. We're gonna load up this R16 file in our Unreal Engine. So let's go to Unreal and start working with this terrain. Just don't close yet Gaea, because we can make real-time changes here in Gaea that will be represented in Unreal Engine. So you can work together with the two softwares in real time to make different changes until you're satisfied with your terrain look. But before we start working on our landscape, there is one super important step that you need to do. While you're working on your project, it doesn't matter if it's this landscape or anything that you're working solo or with other people, you always need a version control. And this is because when you, let's say today, you make few changes and just save your Unreal project, and tomorrow you wake up and realize that those changes are things that you want to discard and you want to go back to your previous changes, this is where the version control steps in. And the one that I'm using is Diversion. So go to diversion.dev and create an account. Once you created an account, you need to download and install the Diversion for desktop. Just choose Windows, or if you want to download it on your Mac, you need to put this command into your terminal. Diversion is also available for Linux. So I downloaded it for Windows and installed it. And the one thing that you will probably ask is how much this costs. And this is super important. If you go to the plan and billing, Diversion is free up to 100 GB storage. So if your project is below 100 GB, everything is free for you. Also, the other amazing thing is on Diversion you can work with up to 5 people for free. So basically Diversion for indie developers is completely free, and this is one of the best version controls that you can have for Unreal Engine. GitHub sometimes makes a lot of problems with combining different files and merging different files. I highly suggest you use Diversion, and as you can see from their plans, you can use it for free. So the first step, install Diversion on your desktop machine. The second step is to go to the marketplace and find the Diversion plugin. So go to search for Diversion. Here is the Diversion version control, and click install to engine. Install it to the engine that you're working on. Once you create your new project, go to edit, go to plugins and search for Diversion. And you need to check on the box to enable Diversion version control. Enable it and hit restart now. The next step is to set up the Diversion as your version control. So go all the way down over here to the revision control, click on it and connect to revision control. After that, from the drop down, connect the Diversion and click initialize project with Diversion. And then click accept settings. Now if I add a new file, an image to my project, so I'm just drag and dropping an image, you have this question mark. This question mark means what should I do with this asset? And if you want to commit it to your repository, right click on it, go to revision control and mark for add. It will automatically add it for the next commit. So right now what you need to do is go to the revision control, commit changes, and in those changes we have all the files over here because they are new for our commit, and we've added this Diversion. And let's say this is my initial commit, and I'm gonna hit commit. Now Diversion is committing to our repository, and you have a backlog where you can go back if you break something in your game or if you change something that you don't want to change and go back. Also, all the people that are working on the same project will immediately have the changes to them. So this is great for teams, but I highly recommend when you're developing solo also to use version control, because a lot of times I do some mistakes or Unreal Engine crashes and I don't have those changes that I've worked for, let's say 1 hour committed. And let me show you with another file. If I right click and create a blueprint class, I select this actor BP test, let's say, I go here, and in this actor I'm just gonna add, let's say, a point light. I'm gonna compile and save, and you can see that it is right now working. Right now it is added to our commit automatically. Go over here, commit changes, and then let's say test blueprint, and let's commit this one also. Commit is received. You don't have any more signs over here. And if we open the desktop app over here, we have a new repository created, which is Diversion. I just name it like that. Let's go and click view repository, and on the view repository you can see you have those commits over here. So that's all you need to get started with Diversion, and this version control will help you a lot in your game development. And keep in mind that Diversion is basically free, 100 GB of storage and 5 people working on the same project. So for indie development, this is the best. So after we set up our version control, let's go and create our landscape. The next plugin that we need to enable is the connection between Gaea and Unreal Engine. And to find the plugin, I have a link in the description to download the file. So go to edit, go to plugins and search for Gaea. And you have this plugin Gaea to Unreal. Click on the checkbox, then hit yes and restart your Unreal Engine. After that, let's go to File, create a new level and select the basic. hit create, and I'm just gonna delete this platform. And here you're gonna have an icon which is a white box because it's still in beta. Click on it, and here you have import Heightmap. I'm gonna import the Heightmap, and from my folder I'm just gonna select the R16 file, click open, and on this R16 file you can set up a landscape material if you want, but I'm going to do that later, and hit create landscape. And now, as you can see over here, we've imported the height map from Gaea, and everything looks perfect. We have our terrain. Right now we have our landscape imported over here, and let's go back to Gaea and make a change. So I'm going back to Gaea, click on my mountain, and let's create a different seed over here. Go to the project, go to build settings, execute build, hit start build. Let it few seconds to build. And keep in mind that in the build settings over here, under build, you need to overwrite the file. If you don't overwrite the file and increment it, this won't work. So keep overriding your file. Then go back to Unreal. And right now we have our old landscape. And what you need to do is just right click on your landscape, go to Gaea landscape action, and just hit refresh landscape in place. Click on it. And now you have your new terrain. So this is the live link between Gaea and Unreal Engine. If I don't like something over here in Unreal Engine, I can jump back to Gaea. I can select the node that I want to change, then change it, like change the seed, change the style to Alpine, go to the project, go to build settings, execute the build, start building. It will overwrite the current height map that I have. Then after it's finished, go back to Unreal Engine, right click, refresh the landscape in place, and we're gonna have the new landscape. So this is the workflow, how you can easily work and tweak from Gaea to Unreal Engine. So let's move forward with texturing and creating the rivers and interaction in our landscape. But before we continue with the texturing, what you need to do is just save your scene. I've saved it as an open world, and go to your version control and commit the changes, because we've created a new scene, we've added a new height map, we've created the linkage between Gaea and Unreal Engine, and I want to push this for the other people that are working on my project, or just for me to have this history that I can go back if I make any mistakes. So I'm gonna name my commit open world first commit, and hit commit. And right now I'm super safe. I have everything committed to my repository in Diversion. So let's continue on and texture the landscape. So this is how my terrain look after a few tweaking in Gaea, and I have those nice shapes, nice mountains over here, and I'm gonna create the river going through this valley. If you can see, everything is super defined, and I pretty much like the final result that I did in Gaea. So play a little bit with Gaea to get the final result that you want in Unreal Engine. And right now let's do the texturing part. What I did is I've integrated my auto material. You can create this auto material by watching my 3 hours long video on how to create this. I'm not gonna cover this because in order to create this material it will take you at least 3 hours, so go and watch the video if you want to create the same material. I've added auto material to my project, and I downloaded few surfaces from Quixel, and you can find those textures by entering the code over here at the back if you want to work with the same textures. I've added a bunch of textures so I can import them into my auto material. And what I did is on my material instance, in the auto material, I've did some settings over here. I'm just gonna scroll through them, so if you want to mimic them, you can just pause this video and make the same. For the snow, I've added snow texture, snow displacement, and snow normal map. I have a water layer here. Those are the settings. I've added a dirt layer, I've added a grass layer in the textures, the stones layer, rock layer, and I did disable the RVT, and for my landscape variations, those are the settings. So you can just copy my settings, pause the video, and create the same settings. And if you don't have this auto material, just go and watch the video and create it yourself. So the next step is to select my landscape, and you need to enable nanite for your landscape. So I'm gonna search for nanite, and I'm gonna enable nanite. I'm gonna hit on the checkbox, and then I'm gonna click build data. After nanite is enabled, we are ready to plug our texture, and see how our texturing will look onto our terrain. So what you need to do is from your material instance on the landscape, after you apply the textures, just drag and drop onto the landscape material slot. Then the auto material will instantly load up and your terrain is now textured. As you can see, we have textures everywhere. We also have procedurals. And after I hit play, you can see that we have textures, we have procedural grass, we have some puddles over here, and we have our canyon here at the ridge. All right, the next steps are to create a little bit more nice environment through fog and some post-process effects and place the river. The idea of the auto material is to auto place all the textures that you need in your level without you working on it. The other thing that you can do with the auto material is if you go to the landscape, you can see here we have layers. Each layer you can paint onto this terrain. If you want, for example, here to have a little bit more grass, you can just go here and start painting the grass over here. So you have the flexibility to paint whatever you want, and the foliages will spawn automatically where you draw. So if I draw here a little bit of grass, you can wait a little bit and the foliages will spawn automatically. So you have the freedom to draw and to paint onto this landscape, but the basic layer is the auto layer, which will auto apply the materials onto your scene. And I want to push all the changes to my version control, so I'm gonna go to my revision control, commit changes, and I'm gonna commit all my changes to the diversion. So for the commit, I'm gonna write open world progress and I'm gonna commit. Always keep in mind that when you're working, you need to go and commit some changes and do this per step. Right, so this is the final result that I achieved, and I have this great mood in the scene. As you can see, we have those clouds, we have this nice coloring over here in the environment, and what left for us is to create the river itself. So this environment itself was created by using Ultra Dynamic Sky, and I just play with the post-process settings over here. And next I'm gonna use my water and swim system to place water over here and create this interaction with the character. After we did all of this, we need to build the river over here. So what I did, I used my interactive water and swim plugin over here. You can check it out and get it from my Patreon. So I've placed it over here to cover this whole section of the valley. The other cool thing about this water and swim system is that here in the material, if you double click on it, you can have a lot of parameters over here to tweak. You can tweak the color, you can tweak the depth of the water, you can tweak the roughness, you can make water to flow, you can add ripples. In my case, because it's raining, I added ripples. You can tweak the ripples, you can tweak foam, you can add the ambient ripples. So this is about the water itself. And right now, let me show you how this looks. And I use this reference from Gaea to see where I need to place this water. And after that, I'm going to use the reference from Gaea to place the lakes over here in my scene and also to place the rivers itself. Right, so let me show you how this looks when I try to play it. And when I hit play, you have this nice environment and you have this giant water body over here. It's like a big river. So what we have here is nice foam forming at the edge of where our landscape meets the water. We have some foliages here in the water. We have some over here, we have some other shorelines, we have caustics. You can enable them or disable them, you can fade them out, etc. We have those nice raining ripples over here, simulating the rain itself. You can see we can start swimming. If I hold shift, we have oxygen depleting, we can go all the way up. How you can easily and very fast create a giant environment. So this is how super fast you can create open world by utilizing Gaea and my CGDWare's tools like the auto material, the water and the swim system. I also have an interactive foliage system which is available for free, so check it out in the description below. So after I finish the setup of my open world and everything is created, what you need to do is, again, you need to commit your changes, but before that save everything, so save selected. Go to your revision control, click commit, and let's do a final commit through diversion. So let's say this is final open world map and hit commit. Go to diversion.dev, and just to remind you, you have 100 gigabytes storage for free and you can work with up to 5 people on one project. So this is completely free. Go sign up and use this version control, as it is pretty crucial to have those commits so you can iterate back and forward through your commits. And if you do something wrong, you can always revert back and fix your mistakes. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope it was useful to you. See ya. in my next video. And before I end up this video, I want to let you know that I've created a Blueprints Masterclass for Unreal Engine 5. It is available right now on Udemy. So if you want to expand your knowledge and not just only create art pieces in Unreal Engine 5, but create some characters, create some game logic, my course is the perfect solution from beginners to intermediate Unreal Engine 5 users. The course itself is 15 hours long and it has all the foundation that you need to kickstart your blueprint knowledge in Unreal Engine 5. So if you want to keep evolving yourself beyond just creating art in Unreal Engine 5, enroll now.